Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the technology that tries to read your mind every single day. Yep, we're talking about the algorithms that power your search results and recommendations. You know the feeling, right? You're searching for something specific, and the results that pop up are just completely off. It's so frustrating. We have all been there. And here is a perfect, almost painful example of why that happens. So Michelle's in New York. It's lunchtime. She wants steamed bagels. Now, the engine found her keywords, sure, but it completely missed the point. The results are hundreds, even thousands of miles away because the search engine is missing the most crucial piece of information: context. It has no idea where she is or that she's probably hungry right now. So how do we get from those useless results to a search that feels like it's practically reading our minds? Well, today we're going to walk through that exact journey, from where search goes wrong to the super clever techniques that try to get it right. All right, first up, let's really dig into this problem of context, because honestly, it's the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. See, the goal of modern search isn't just to match the words you type. It's to build what's called a personalized query. This is a mashup of two things: what you explicitly type into the search bar and what the engine can't implicitly understand about you: your location, your past searches, your preferences, your context. Now, here's something you might not realize. Personalization isn't just an on or off switch. It's actually a whole spectrum of approaches, all the way from you telling the engine exactly what you want to the engine basically guessing what you'll love. Think of it like this. On one end of the road, you've got classic keyword search. You type the words, you're in the driver's seat, you have full control. But way over on the other end, you've got pure recommendations, that you might also like section. That's where the engine takes the wheel. The most powerful, and let's be honest, the trickiest, personalization happens right there in the middle ground. So how does a search engine even begin to learn what you might be interested in? Well, one of the oldest and still one of the most powerful ways is to just look at what millions of other people are doing. This technique is called collaborative filtering, and it's basically crowdsourcing relevance. The beauty of it is the system doesn't need to understand anything about the items themselves. All it needs to know is that people who liked item A also tended to like item B. It's learning entirely from our collective behavior. It all starts with data that looks something like this. Just imagine a gigantic grid, a matrix, that maps every single user to every single movie they've watched or rated. You end up with this massive, complex web of interconnected preferences. But this is where the magic happens. Through a mathematical process called matrix factorization, the system breaks that giant grid down. And by doing this, it starts to uncover these hidden or latent features that explain why people like what they like. It might figure out that there's a group of people who love superhero movies without anyone ever telling it what a superhero movie is. Okay, but collaborative filtering has a huge Achilles heel. What do you recommend to a brand new user who has no history? Or for a new product that no one has rated yet? This is the famous cold start problem. To solve it, systems have to learn not from the crowd, but from the content of the item itself. And they do this using a really powerful concept called an embedding. The easiest way to think about it is as a unique numerical fingerprint for an item. A large language model reads an item's description and translates its meaning into a long string of numbers, which is called a vector. The process really is like a meaning machine. You feed it some text about a product, say a specific iPad, and out pops this dense vector of numbers. And that vector mathematically captures the essence of that product, its brand, its features, everything. And from there, making a personal profile for you is surprisingly simple. The system just takes the fingerprints of all the items you've ever clicked on, or liked, or bought, and it averages them all together. What's left is a single vector that represents your unique profile of interests. Now, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? A system that just gets you. But as you can probably guess, trying to read a user's mind based on their past behavior can go spectacularly, hilariously wrong. So what's the big deal? Why not just apply this super smart personalization to everything, all the time? Well, when does this helpful tool cross the line and become unhelpful, or even just plain frustrating? Let me give you a perfect, real-world example of the problem. Imagine your recent purchase history includes two very, very different items: a high-end stainless steel refrigerator and, say, a novelty Hello Kitty water bottle. Okay, now you go and search for a microwave. Without what the engineers call guardrails to keep things in their proper lanes, your interest in Hello Kitty bleeds over into the appliance category, and you get a ridiculous result. But with guardrails, the system correctly uses your preference for stainless steel from the refrigerator purchase and gives you a much, much better result. It shows that context is absolutely everything. And this brings us to our final and maybe the most important idea: the incredibly delicate search for balance that's needed to make personalization truly great. This quote from the experts just hits the nail on the head. The main takeaway is that it's almost always better to do too little than too much. Applying personalization with a light touch is the winning strategy. Users get way more annoyed at a search engine that tries to be clever and fails than by one that just plays it safe. And getting that balance right means navigating a total minefield of challenges. I mean, how do you personalize for new users? How do you avoid being creepy? And how in the world do you do all of this while respecting user privacy? It is definitely not easy. So, in the end, the goal isn't for a search engine to be a psychic. The goal is for it to be a helpful assistant, one that takes what you ask for and then gently, carefully uses what it knows about you to make the results just that little bit better. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. As this technology gets smarter and more woven into our daily lives, we really have to ask, how close to reading our minds is too close? Thanks for joining us.